Pay more at the pump or at the grocery store. The fight over corn heating up as this historic drought is expected to drag deep into August. Some farming and livestock industry groups asking the government to waive a requirement for the amount of ethanol in gasoline, since about 40% of our corn supply is going to making ethanol, not feeding livestock or people for that matter. Should the standard be waived? Let's ask Bob Dinneen, president of the Renewable Fuels Association, and Christina Butts, executive director of legal affairs for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Christina, I'm going to start with you. Corn prices are up 58% since June 15th. Do we need to do something about this federal requirement that gas have something like a 10% blend of ethanol?
We absolutely do. The National Cattlemen's Beef Association was part of a broader coalition who did file a waiver with the EPA on Monday, requesting the administrator to use her authority and waive the mandate. Right now, the mandate is choosing one user of corn over another. And as you said, with 40% of the corn crop going into ethanol production, that's causing a great concern across the Midwest and out in the cattle country, who's seeing the most severe drought we've seen in over 50 years.
Bob, what do you say?
I say, first of all, we're not utilizing just 40% of the corn crop. And when you produce ethanol, you're just using the starch from the corn kernel. And we produce a very high-value, high-protein feed product that is then fed to cattle and poultry across this country. More importantly, when Congress created the Renewable Fuels Standard, they did so in a very flexible fashion, in a way that would anticipate anomalies in the marketplace like this. So there are credits that refiners can use. Right now there's a surplus in the marketplace of some 800 million gallons, and refiners could actually carry forward a portion of their requirement. There's no need to waive the program when refiners are going to be able to meet their mandate.
To your point, there's a recent study showing that a total waiver of the EPA's Renewable Fuels Standard would reduce corn prices by less than 5%, so not a huge impact. However, the impact on the livestock industry, some experts say, could be as much as $1 billion. All right, Christina, to you, are you just looking out for your own bacon here and not worrying about the rest of us?
Well, really, what we're asking for is just to compete for that bushel of corn on a laying field. And Mr. Dinneen is right. In the cattle industry, we do use the byproducts to feed cattle. But right now we're seeing ethanol plants idling and down pacing, and that's also displacing this local supply of these distiller grains for our producers to use.
And Bob, to you, what do you say to this? Is the Cattlemen's Association just worried about their own business and not concerned about the broader impact of ethanol?
Well, of course they are, and I understand that. Look, there may be some misperception that farmers just deliver corn to our doorstep. The fact of the matter is there is a level playing field because we're all competing for grain in the same marketplace. We're having to pay these higher prices too. And in fact, the ethanol industry has been far more responsive to these market signals than any other user. The ethanol industry, since the beginning of June, has reduced its production by about 14 or 15%, and you will likely see more ethanol plants slowing production. I mean, that's just a response to the marketplace.
Look at these food prices. You know, you guys watch out for the cattlemen, you're worried about the ethanol producers, but what about consumers? Beef is up 8%, chicken up 7%, ham up 6%. This is year over year, and you know why this is. It's because corn is getting more and more expensive. Christina, to you, I mean, what about the impact on individual Americans?
Absolutely, and when you look at USDA's number, they just recently adjusted their inflation for food prices from 3% to 4%. So anytime that there is an increase in input cost on the live animal side, there's always going to be a trickle-down effect that impacts consumers. And we do compete for corn, but it is not a level playing field when you have the federal government creating a mandated market to require 40% of the corn crop to go to ethanol production. Well, if it was a level playing field, let us compete equally.
Bob, to you, why can't ethanol stand on its own? Why does it need this government requirement?
Well, we are standing on our own. There's no tax incentive. This is a program that is critically important to reduce our dependence on imported oil, and it's doing just that. When this program began, we were 60% dependent on foreign oil for our liquid transportation fuels. Today, as a consequence of this program, we're only 45% dependent. But I'd like to make one other point really quick. Yes, input costs are going up for everybody, but keep in mind that in a $6 steak, there's only 60 cents worth of corn there. And farmers aren't getting but about 11 cents out of every dollar spent on food. What is driving up food costs? Well, that's the skyrocketing price of energy. That's the skyrocketing price of diesel fuel and gasoline. And ethanol is helping to reduce those costs. We need both food and fuel in this country.
Even gas prices are going up right now. We're going to have to leave it there. Thanks to both of you for coming on. Bob and Christina, appreciate your talking to us about this important issue.
Thank you.
All right. It's Mitt Romney Wednesday.